My name is Scott Holmes. I've sold over $1 million worth of sneakers in the last year, and this is how eBay scammed me and how I almost lost $14,000 as a result of it, but got saved by my grandmother. Back in November of 2023, almost a year ago, I bought 100 pairs of Uggs off Nordstrom. Uggs are great sellers during Christmas, specifically because people love having slippers for the winter, and so a lot of people give them as Christmas gifts. And when they came in, I noticed a price discrepancy between StockX and eBay. Stuff on eBay was selling for like $40 to $50 more than it was on StockX. And since I have a long-standing eBay account, I'd been selling for 5 years or a little more than that, I knew how to game the system, and I figured out that I could probably list them and sell them for $40 or $50 over market. I listed all of them the night before Black Friday, and as expected, they started absolutely flying. So much so that I actually raised the price. I think I started them at about $160, $170, and by the end, I was selling them for $200 to $210. I sold out of all 100 within 48 hours. The thing is, about halfway through selling through them, I noticed that eBay had put a restriction on my funds. I didn't really think anything of it because the listing for the Uggs was actually still active, which didn't really make any sense to me. But as I said, I didn't really think anything of it, and I just kept letting the stuff sell. On Monday after Black Friday, I shipped all the items out to the buyers, and that's when things got ugly. eBay requested tracking numbers for every single order, which I provided, and which doesn't really make sense why they would request them because they can see it on my dashboard. They have access to that. Anyways, I submitted all the information they requested, and then on November 25th, 2 days later, they requested more information like proof of identification, receipts, which I had from Nordstrom, and credit card statements that matched my identification and showed the charges where I had bought the Uggs. A couple days later, they denied it again and requested basically the same information again, except this time it was my passport instead of my ID. I submitted my passport, not really sure why. A few days later, they just denied it again. And at this point, some of the customers had actually received the items and had left 5-star reviews. Not a single one had complained, and I had made sure to take care of everyone and communicate perfectly with the buyers. So it didn't make any sense why I was being investigated for causing risk to members of the community. These Uggs were authentic. I provided receipts, provided credit card statements, provided identification that showed that I was the one who had bought the Uggs, but eBay still wouldn't accept it. I submitted a final appeal, and on December 7th, about 10 days later, after a long week of waiting, I received a message that said eBay had permanently restricted my account and that the $13,000 that was in the account was not available for cash out. Further calls to their customer service led to absolutely nothing. They had no idea what they were talking about, and most of them basically said it was my fault, even though they couldn't tell me what I'd done wrong, other than one of them said it might have been related to Nike listings that I hadn't even had active for 3 months. The items hadn't been listed for 3 months, but somehow that had caused the disablement of my account. Absolutely ridiculous. All of the customer service people told me it would take between 6 to 24 months, yes, 2 years, to potentially get my money back because they had to send it to the State Department to investigate it for fraud, which again makes no sense because I bought all of these legally off of Nordstrom. Made absolutely no sense. Not only was this a frustrating time for me, it was also dangerous financially. I had counted on the money I was gonna make off of the Uggs I was selling on eBay to pay bills, to pay my credit card, to pay everything. And then all of a sudden it had been whisked away for no reason. Thankfully, since it was December and I was operating at pretty decent scale a year ago, I was able to make about $10,000 to $15,000 during December, which completely covered anything that I needed for that month. But still, it made stuff a lot tighter. After talking to some more friends in the sneaker space, I reasoned that eBay would probably release the funds within 6 to 8 months, though there was no guarantee of it coming out. And that was pretty scary at the time. Fast forward to Christmas and I'm at my grandmother's house, and she used to be a lawyer and she's pretty smart and still pretty with it. And so we talked about the situation. She said that this sounded like something that I could definitely file a lawsuit for. So we looked through eBay's terms and conditions and found that if they haven't released the money for over 30 days, you can submit a request for arbitration, which essentially meant that eBay would either have to release the funds or have a third party make a binding decision about the case, which of course they would rule in my favor because, again, I'd done absolutely nothing wrong. We put together this 50-page request for arbitration, and I sent it in on January 2nd, and we sat and waited. Finally, 2 weeks later, on January 18th, eBay released my payout. No explanation, no apologies, no reasoning for why they'd held my money. They just released the money and said, your payout of $13,706 has been released to your bank account. I was pretty ecstatic. I took a screenshot of the message, texted it to some friends and my girlfriend, people who had known about this issue the whole time. Then I went back to sleep and woke up $13,000 richer. To me, this is a great demonstration about how platforms like eBay do not care at all about the seller. Same with Amazon. They'll do whatever they want. They'll hold your money with no explanation. They'll just do that because they have the power to do it. And the thing that bothered me the most about this is I made a video about it back in June that I put up as an Instagram reel. And I actually got like 10 to 15 DMs from people who are experiencing the exact same issue. And it was to the point where I was like, I need to help these people. And so I put together a guide that's basically a template that I use to submit my request for arbitration with eBay and sent it to these people. And one of them actually DM'd me recently and told me that he got his money back, which is awesome. And I'll include that linked below. I hope someone from eBay is watching this and understands how horrible this is. This is ruining lives, and if I had been in a worse financial situation, this could have put me out of business. You guys need to figure your stuff out.